If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you. All right, how's it going?
It's going well. Glad you're back. We had a good show last week with Emily.
Yeah.
It's good to be back in the studio.
Yep.
The regular host.
Yep. Next week's the summit.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. RSVPs are great. Lineup is great. It's interesting. It's fourth year of throwing our annual meeting, second year at Geodis, and it feels like the team's got everything dialed in really nicely. It's nowhere near as stressful as it was at year one. I feel like right now I would have had like my hair on fire, and I'm just kind of like, everything's gonna be great.
Yeah. Well, the second year of the same venue, the team knows sort of what went wrong, what needed to be worked on last year.
Yeah. So we're definitely, for the first time, we've never done this before, but we are going to take the majority, not all, but the majority of the sessions that we're going to record and release them on the podcast.
Yeah.
So that'll be great. I think listeners will, notice our themes taking place in conversations with, 6 very, very smart, influential people across the industry. In tech, in finance, obviously in healthcare. Yeah. So it should be a lot of fun.
I'm excited to hear several of the speakers.
No, should be a lot of fun. Weird week out there.
Yeah. There's not a ton of industry news.
No.
I think there's so much attention on war in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's just a lot of cognitive dissonance, right? I mean, it's like, are we at war? Are we not at war? Did we win the war? Did we lose the war? Gas prices are up. Are they really up? TSA is bad. Is it bad everywhere? You know what I mean? It's just like things are. It's very hard to. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we are still at war, but there's no clean signals out there right now. Things are very, very muddy. Lots of static in the signals.
Yeah, that's right. And depending on where you get your news, you have a very slanted view of the war and the situation, one way or the other. And so I think that just confuses everything.
Yeah, I just avoid news entirely.
That's right.
So I'm just like, tell me when it's over.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, look, let's jump in. Let's dig into the stories. First up, we're talking about the economy, and it looks like the main story is higher energy costs on every front. There's these moments in life where we start to realize the connectedness of all things. And yes, obviously, when you cut off oil through the Strait of Hormuz and, many countries start to talk about clearing the shelves of their reserves, Japan's prime minister saying we're going to dip into the reserves. Obviously, you realize some of that stuff. But I think the other thing is just the idea that we're also interconnected in terms of China is the world's manufacturer, and everything is made fueled by petroleum.
Right.
It's in or fueling everything, right? And so the prices are going up everywhere. Everyone talked about the gas pumps, but that's not the extent of it at all.
That's the first place that it becomes apparent. But you're right. Every product has petroleum as an ingredient, and then also you have to move it and all kinds of, as you're making it, all those things.
Yeah. So this article is talking about borrowed Costco memberships, fewer nights out, skipped road trips. I was in a Country Music Hall of Fame board meeting today, and the hall is doing great, especially relative to other institutions. It gets more than its fair share of traffic for visitors. But generally speaking, tourism is down across the country. Like Nashville's doing better than almost every city in America right now, and we're down.
Yeah.
We're down. And I think people just can't, airline tickets, right? I mean, that's good. That's obviously, a huge, purchaser of fuel. And so that those costs are going to get passed on. So, yeah, I mean, it's really a full on market assault on affordability. And we were already pretty deep into the spreading of the K-shaped economy. So it's just more hard times,
Yeah, that's right. And I think until they get some resolution, it's going to be that way for, it might be a day, it might be a month. I don't know. Hopefully soon be ended.
And I was at dinner last night with a couple of friends from Fellows. We were just talking about how people aren't doing that well, and also about how long this uncertainty has been going on. I mean, I remember when COVID first hit, and you and I were in our house offices,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we worked on that PDF. You mostly delivered it, sort of like, here are the different scenarios.
Yeah, right.
That was like the beginning of this. I mean, Vic, it's
been 6 years.
and it's still
It's never cleared where you can just take a deep breath and like it's done.
No,
right.
no, we've been in this like clinched up fight or flight, mode for 6 years.
And I think it really affects people's mental wellness. It also affects inflammation and their physical wellness. The stress, the chronic stress is not good.
How can it not, right? So it's just getting old. It's just getting old.
Yeah.
Moving on to VC deals. So this first one from Axios, GLP-1 unicorn raises $200 million from Tom Brady and others. So the former CEO of X, Linda Yaccarino, is now the CEO of eMed, an employee telehealth company. They announced a $200 million funding round at a post-money valuation north of $2 billion. So sold 10% of the company for $200 million. The deal was led by Aon, and then a bunch of big name individuals. Joe Lonsdale is a big one there. And Tom Brady is not only an investor, but also the chief wellness officer of eMed. If anyone ever wants to sort of understand how America works, here it is.
This deal is a good example.
This is just like, I don't think, Aon, okay, that's legitimate, but Linda Yaccarino and Tom Brady have nothing to do with healthcare.
No, but it is, I think you're right. It is an access to the buyers in employee health. Aon controls a lot of that channel.
Super strong.
Yeah.
Aon's super strong. Nationally well-organized, well-run, massive accounts. They just made a big acquisition, so now they're actually controlling mid-market in a much more meaningful way.
Yeah.
And you better believe they don't make this kind of investment without, no conflict, no interest, right? So you better believe there's no way they made this kind of investment without an intent to leverage their network and their influence to drive more sell-through of eMed.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So this is an access play, and then you have Linda and Tom bringing to market what is a pretty basic concept.
Yeah, it's GLP-1s.
We're going to give you GLP-1s over telehealth so your employees can lose weight and feel better. There's nothing new. I don't know how that's worth $2 billion, except that the access is the thing, and the name brands.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations to everybody there. Fierce Healthcare. Qualified Health locks in $125 million in fresh funding to scale enterprise AI at health systems. So we knew somebody was going to do it, and there will be more, I'm sure. But this is the first big funding round that we've seen for an organization that is focused on helping health systems actually screen and ensure that the AI solutions that they are procuring are safe, trustworthy, reliable, and responsible. The company is headed up with a founding team of 4. I know one of them, Kedar Mate, who used to head, I can't remember the name of the organization, but it was all around continuous improvement in healthcare. He's really, really smart. He's a sharp guy. So I assume he's teamed with 3 other sharp gentlemen here. This round was led by NEA. It's a Series B. And new investors, Transformation Capital, Great Point Ventures, Cathay Innovation, and Anthropic and Menlo Ventures Anthology Fund are also in the deal.
Yeah. So it's a big opportunity, and there's a lot of challenges getting implemented into health systems. But I think I'm excited to see them work on it. I think there's going to be a mix of things. Some health systems will use this totally. Some will do their own thing. Some will do a combination.
So congrats to that team. Now, I don't even know what you call this. I guess it's policy, but it's
I put
really
it in policy.
Yeah, but it's really courts, right?
Yeah.
Meta and YouTube lose their landmark social media addiction trial. The dollar amount, very small, $3 million. The jury ordered the companies to pay $3 million to the plaintiff. However, this is the first real piercing of Section 230. People have been complaining about Section 230 for a long time. Which has been effectively the get out of jail card for all of these platforms to say that they are not publishers, right? That they are simply platforms. They're enabling platforms, and they have no responsibility for the things that get put in front of people, even though they control the algorithm.
Right.
Even though they actually control what gets served up to people based on who they are and what other traits they understand about them and what behaviors they exhibit. And clearly they are trying to drive more and more engagement because that is how they drive ad dollars, which is how they drive their stock price. But they've been getting away with this for a long time, Vic. And finally, they've lost a case in California. And how many other cases are there waiting in the wings now?
The article says over 3,000. I don't know exactly how many, but a lot. And I mean, I think the way I view it is Section 230 was put into law in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really the attempt by Congress to protect the internet companies as they started offering access to the internet. It was difficult to police what was going to be on there. And that was right for the time. There was no algorithm at that point. Like, you were on the web kind of surfing around in the dark, really. There was plenty of dangerous material, but you had to go find it yourself.
Right.
And so I think if we had a functioning Congress, which we don't, but if we had one, it should be updated. Like, there are legitimate comments on both sides. Like, yes, the party that's actually publishing their own content on Facebook should take some responsibility. But if Facebook is using their algorithm to send a whole bunch of things to me that are not good for me and making me addicted to Meta itself, then that probably is a Meta problem, a Facebook problem, not the publishers themselves. But Congress really needs to draw that line somewhere or try to distinguish between. Right now we're using a 30-year-old, 25-year-old law, and the technology has changed multiple times since then.
It doesn't help that we have a gerontocracy.
Yes.
It's hard for you and I to keep up with all this stuff.
Yes. There's no way that a senator or a congressman has enough. But they didn't know the internet either. They have staff. They have ability to hold hearings. I mean, it's kind of their job to figure out what's best for the country.
It's entirely their job.
Yeah.
And these platforms now, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? These platforms have such a monopoly on attention that at this point, it's not like attention's going to go back to TV or something else like that, right?
No.
If at this point in the game, they get some responsibility and have some accountability, it's not really going to change the dynamic of their strangle on attention. I don't think. I mean,
no.
They're just going to have to turn over more controls to the user, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not like the user is going to be on these platforms less. I at this point,
yeah, I don't think that's the case. I mean, they are fighting over market share
amongst each other.
But people are on social media whatever number of hours, more hours than I want to ever consider, but probably 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day.
Yes.
And they're not going to go back to reading books. I wish they would, but they're not.
No. At this point in the game, the paradigm has completely shifted. Mm-hmm. And this form of media on mobile devices is how we spend our time now. It's how we get our information. It's how we learn about things we're interested in. And whatever tweak comes out of this in the long run, and whatever amount of money they're going to have to pay is going to do nothing to disrupt their monopoly on attention. I don't believe. Where's it going to go?
Yeah, I think that's right. The question is, should they be channeling particular content to users, especially young users, if they know it is damaging to their growth?
You don't really mean that that's a question, right?
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that should not be allowed.
I think
that's what I would say.
That's 100%.
No, that's not what the law says now, but that's sort of why this is going on, I think.
Right. And the reason why we should talk about it is because it's driving behavioral health crisis.
Yes.
You know, I just had lunch with a young man who I've had a relationship with for 10 years. I met him at Oasis Center when I was running a little entrepreneurship program there. And he's doing great. He's 29 now, or he's about to be 29. And I mean, listen, this guy, Vic, He's already saved 6 figures. He's got 7 years developed career as a banker. He is living with his parents and helping them out by paying rent. I mean, this guy's like model kid, and he's anxious because he feels like he's not accomplishing enough. And I'm like, dude, you're crushing it. But it's because of all this nonsense influencer fake lies that's on Instagram. Bottom line, and he said it. He was like, I know you're right. It's just social media.
Yeah.
And this is a kid who's like, he's like perfect. You know what I mean? He's like working every day. He's taking care of his parents.
Right.
He's saving his money. He's focused. He's building his career, you know?
Yeah, that's the concerns with the K-shaped economy. Like, if you don't already have significant net worth that you can invest in financial assets, it's really difficult to get ahead. Like, the cost of living and the cost, we started with the cost of energy, is increasing at least at the same pace that you're putting money in the bank. So you're sort of on a treadmill trying to keep up. And yes, it's not helpful to see on Instagram all these other people with everything's fake, but still it looks like it's realistic.
It's all fake.
It's depressing.
It's all fake, right? It's all fake. All right, let's move into one more court story. So the Supreme Court limits the liability for internet service providers. The ruling says Cox Communications can't be held liable for knowing its users were downloading and sharing music illegally. I think limits of liability are a good thing, generally speaking. And I think at the end of the day, I would prefer this because I think the opposite impacts net neutrality, right? I don't want to start scrutinizing ISPs because the minute you do that, you start pushing more control at that critical point in the internet's functionality. And you start to get to net neutrality, right? Like the minute you start saying, okay, these sites, this sites, now it's like the internet just stops working. So I just want Cox Communication to be the router. I don't want them to have liability.
Right.
I would prefer the liability to be on the individual. We have sufficient tracking for this kind of stuff. Like, do not hold ISPs, responsible for this.
Yeah. If someone is publishing music illegally, we already have laws against that.
That's right. That's right.
And it's not Cox Communications that is the person in the wrong, whoever is propagating that and profiting from it. The reason to talk about this story right after the Meta and YouTube story is the Supreme Court quoted Section 230 in saying that Cox does not have liability. And so that is interesting because on the same week, California court ignored 230 and said they are responsible. Supreme Court upheld it. Now, I think where we were talking with Meta and YouTube is the difference in my mind. But it doesn't, so like Cox does not have an algorithm. They serve you whatever website you go to, they serve you. They don't even necessarily know or care what it is. There is no curation or algorithm or attempt to make the Cox experience more engaging. That's not how they work. And so to me, that's the difference. And I believe if it gets up into the more higher courts, Section 230 there was no algorithm. So it doesn't contemplate that. So it doesn't refer to that sort of curation, algorithmic serving as part of the law. It just says internet purveyors of content are not held accountable. And that's the issue, that the law doesn't cover the issue that we need to all reckon with now.
You nailed it. It's so obviously different. Cox and Xfinity and Google Fiber and AT&T, they're utilities. If I swap one out for the other, it does not change my browsing experience one bit. One bit.
Right.
It's a utility. It has nothing to do with influencing what I see, other than giving me access to it.
Yes.
Because I requested it directly.
Right.
These two things cannot be more different. And the only way you couldn't understand that is if you are too old
Or if you're in 1997 and there is no social media.
Right.
When they wrote the law, it was a good law. Didn't exist.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But it was not meant for these companies with their algorithms.
Right. What the Supreme Court does when these 3,000 plus lawsuits bubble up to it is not clear to me. But
no,
they most likely will stick to the letter of the law unless Congress gets their act together, I think. But that won't be the morally right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I wanted to bring this up and talk about it.
And I don't think there's going to be that much of a change at this point, right? The best possible thing that could happen would be to turn over the tuning of algorithms to the users, right? And it's interesting. Elon's actually talking about doing that with X, right? Like basically giving the user the ability to tweak and control what they get access to.
Right.
You shouldn't, now of course, X is probably the lowest performing social network by ad revenue, but that's what it should be, right? It should, you should be benefiting from the network effects of everyone participating. And then you should say, I'm opting in. I want this. I want this. I want this. Not like I followed these 20 people and I get 20 posts that have nothing to do with what I followed, which is how Meta works, right? Because they're like, no, but really you must mean this.
Yeah. Well, they all reacted to TikTok. TikTok, I think, innovated that with just, we're going to serve you what you watch a lot of and other things that are adjacent to it, and then try to keep you engaged. And not surprisingly, that leads to a lot of engagement. And then everyone followed that. So they all have that now. It's just kind of silent in the law.
Yeah, that's right. Modern healthcare. CMS launches Aspire pediatric Medicaid chip pay model. It's lots of these small dollar programs coming out of CMS, but give me the details on this one.
Yeah, so this is a wraparound care for kids in Medicaid that have a lot of healthcare needs. I think it's a good program. It's quite similar to the model that the Democrats had that got killed. And so it's good. I mean, it is Medicaid needs to be able to support children and their families. And lots of things are not in the doctor's office. They might need nutrition support. They might need a ride. They might need lots of things. And this provides that framework.
The quote here is from CMMI Director Abe Sutton. Under this program, up to 5 states will test a whole child, whole family approach that connects physical health, behavioral health, education, and community support. And they're going to distribute $125 million to state Medicaid agencies for Aspire. So let's say they get to 5 states, so $25 million per state. These are going to be small.
Yes.
These are going to be small tests.
And it's a 10-year test. So in 10 years from now,
$2.5 million a year per state.
Right.
I mean, it's just so small. That was my only reaction was like doing the math. I was like,
small.
How? I mean, could you get excited about any portfolio company coming to you and being like, "Have you seen Aspire? We should no. Like no.
It's not worth the effort to get signed up for it.
No, too small. Too small. All right, rural hospitals could apply for temporary interest-free construction renovation loans under the new bipartisan bill. So again, this is one of those things where non-interest-bearing loans to rural hospitals
to build things
that have no viability. I mean, this to me is like political tool 101.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. We're in the midterms. We need to point to something we're doing for the rural population, even though it's not sustainable. And in fact, these loans are not going to get paid back.
No, they're not. I mean, they're going to construct a new building.
Just call it a grant.
They don't need the buildings they have.
Yeah.
We don't need more buildings. And yes, they're not going to get paid back. They're not. That's not the direction.
Yeah. And what are you going to do if they don't pay it back? You're going to shut down their hospital or it's just
that's right. And it's not, this is a bill in the Senate, but it is bipartisan. I think because it's the midterms, it's going to get a lot of traction.
Nobody wants to be.
No one's going to want to stop it.
Right.
And I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think it's going to do any good.
No, it's silliness. All right, moving to payers. Highmark reports $175 million net loss for 2025 as financial headwinds batter the health plan.
Yeah, they're struggling. All the payers are struggling. Highmark's the most recent to announce earnings or lack of earnings. It's a hard time to be a payer right now. Not great to be a health system either, but the payers are suffering.
Yep. Not much more to say about that. Let's move to pharma. Merck reaches nearly $6 billion deal for cancer biotech Terns. They are set to lose their patent protection on Keytruda. Mm-hmm. And so it's time for them to stock the cabinet, and get ready for that. Terns Pharmaceuticals has a pretty promising leukemia treatment. And so the market liked it. Terns was bumped up 5.4% in pre-market trading. Merck was up about 0.5%. Merck's doing a lot of business. And I think they're kind of right in that middle ground, right? It's like they're not high flying and they're not hot, but they're not Novo and they're not Pfizer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I think it's healthy to see consolidation happening. Merck is one of the biggest Salesforce brands, distribution. Them acquiring an already public but really promising cancer drug is great.
All right. Gilead Sciences gains an opportunity for immune system reset with a $1.6 billion Ouro acquisition. So Ouro Medicines is a startup developing T-cell engagers for a range of autoimmune diseases. Love to see T-cell therapies, getting to commercialization. We got to figure out a way to make the commercialization models on these really exciting, powerful T-cell, CAR-T drugs. We got to figure out how to make it work. Because
I mean, it solves. It's very effective treatment, but it has to be personalized to each patient. So the processing, the supply chain is super expensive and hard.
Yes, and we're going there.
Yeah.
We're going there. We're going to personalized medicine. That's what all this genomics and artificial intelligence is going to do for us over the course of the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think now is the time to start just assuming that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And let's start making these acquisitions.
Build for where we're going to be 5 years from now.
Exactly. And also, there are so many of these promising assets that are just like sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, because
goodness gracious,
CAR-T and T-cell it has a lot of applications.
Yeah. There's just a lot of assets out there ready to be commercialized. All right, I love that you found this story. A New York Times, Tango therapy: how the dance of passion is helping Parkinson's patients. My wife and I are taking salsa lessons.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I like. I didn't tell you that beforehand, but that's why I like this. And it's fun and it is athletic, and it's important, like, for your brain, because like memorizing all the steps.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me at all, but first of all, I just love the idea that dance is being incorporated into the conversation around therapy.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about music therapy, and obviously we're talking about all these AI companions as providing therapy, but dance is another great way to keep people, feeling positive, connected to another human, and also working on their motor skills and keeping their brain sharp.
Yeah, I mean, instead of saying to a patient, walk across this obstacle course and walk backwards a few steps, if you say, come with your caregiver, come with your wife, come with your husband, come with a friend, and dance for an hour, that's a lot more encouraging. You'll get a lot more people coming to that, and then it has a lot of benefits. So I think it's great.
Yeah. So if you want to read more about it, links in the show notes. But I just thought worth breaking up all this
all the
nonsense.
Heavy
stuff. Yeah. Yes, with a good news story about just something that's accessible to most of us who are able-bodied, right? Really cool. All right, one story on crypto tokenization. New York Stock Exchange, again, every week, I guess they're going to announce another thing. Right. They partner with Securitize to develop a 24/7 tokenized securities platform. Under the exchange's plan, stocks would trade as digital tokens. So I thought they had already done this, but now they have a digital transfer agent to sort of support this. They're clearly building a full stack for this.
Yeah, that's right. I think by the end of the year, it's happening pretty quickly. By the end of 26, I think we will have maybe the top 5,000 stocks on Wall Street all tokenized and trading 24/7, which is a fast change, but good. I mean, I'm in favor of it.
Look, in the next 3 years, everything's going to be tokenized.
That's right. Stocks are the easiest
That's
ones
right.
because they're commodities.
That's right. That's right. Everything's going to be there. All right. AI rundown. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
OpenEvidence rolls out AI medical coding feature. So this was helpful to read because it gave me a better sense of the scope of OpenEvidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd sort of thought about it simply as a research tool, like a search and research tool for clinicians to, hey, I'm trying to find out some information about this. But clearly it's a broader suite because now they're consuming the post visit notes likely generated from a AI scribe technology, and now they're mapping it to CPT codes, ICD-10 diagnoses, et cetera, to support like operational processes. So I think that's pretty cool, and we both have talked consistently about OpenEvidence's differentiation in a time where we have ChatGPT Health, and now with Claude you can tie in your health records and things like that. But OpenEvidence is strictly for the industry. You and I have never seen it.
Yeah, unless you have a national provider number, you can't get in.
Yeah, we've never seen it, right? And so I think this is it's nice to see this company in particular. For me, I don't know, I just kind of like them.
Yeah.
And to see them creating parallel value streams beyond this concept of just like research for clinicians is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart move. They're moving from where they came out at first, where if you have a complex patient and instead of calling a colleague from medical school in another state and discussing it, which is what physicians used to do, or a colleague down the hall, now you can go to OpenEvidence and get all of the research papers, all of the evidence, and get the right diagnosis, the right treatment. That's a great use case, but it's not that often that a doc needs that. I mean, maybe once a week, maybe they do it more often just to check themselves, but this gets it much into that, like every day, every hour, they'll be using it because they code everything and they want to make sure that the labs they're getting and the diagnostic images they're getting fit with what the coding's going to be. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Agree. All right. A look at how Optum Rx is using AI to address pharmacy fraud, waste, and abuse. So I feel like about once a quarter, Optum comes out with a story about how they're leveraging AI, and it kind of swings back and forth between pre-auth and then fraud, waste, and abuse.
It's a zeitgeist thing.
Yeah.
They know that now is not the time to talk about pre-auth.
You're right.
So they're going to talk about fraud, waste, and abuse.
Right. We got to talk about fraud, waste, and abuse, and how we're on the right side of this. So and look, I mean, we've talked about almost since the beginning of doing this show. There's few precious healthcare companies that have the technology and data chops that UHG does.
Yeah.
I mean, really beyond impressive what they've got there. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the name Optum, they don't really understand how many business lines fall under that brand, right?
Yeah, and how many providers are there? I mean, they have more providers than anyone else, I think.
Yes, but they also have like a very robust consulting business.
Yeah, right.
That serves the entirety of the industry, and so I feel like a lot of times when they come out with this, they're saying yes, it's something we're using internally on Optum Rx, but it's also something they're likely proliferating throughout the industry through their consulting agreements.
Yeah, and I mean, no one would argue with reducing fraud, waste, and abuse. The question comes like, what is waste and what is something that a patient and their doctor wants? But that's not the story. Is I think well timed with the zeitgeist.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. Fraud and abuse.
And abuse are easy.
Those are easy.
The waste piece is a little bit complex.
That's right. I very much agree with that. Okay, let's talk about OpenAI. Love this company. OpenAI scraps Sora video platform months after launch. The app, once envisioned as a potential social network, allowed people to insert themselves in various pop culture scenes. It really was just like a dumpster fire from day one, because you realize like, okay, we're just going to empower people to make deep fakes against people they hate that could actually ruin people's lives.
Right.
It was a terrible idea, but they're scrapping it. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I guess. I think it was a attempt at demonstrating how powerful their video generation model could be. But because the culture at OpenAI, they just went like fully unguarded and just did anything that you wanted to do, which certainly proved that the technology was good, but caused tons of lawsuits and made it difficult. But yeah, they are trying to pivot. So we have several stories about them pivoting away from the consumer and towards enterprise. And enterprise hates Sora because a lot of enterprises have IP that they don't want. They don't want, whatever, their logo running around doing something that they didn't approve.
Sam flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, and he's still pretty high up there.
He's coming down.
Yeah.
He's coming down. I think that's what the stories
That's what these stories are about.
Yeah, these stories are about that. OpenAI abandons yet another side quest, ChatGPT's erotic mode, right? I mean,
that's ridiculous. I mean, they should never have done erotic mode. There's plenty of pornography available, I think. There's not
Elon's
a shortage
lane.
of blood. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. Grok is really good at that. And I don't know. I mean, I think you know what to expect when you go to Grok and X. And I don't know, OpenAI didn't need that.
Yeah.
And it took Sam a year of talking about erotic mode to come around to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, and you could obviously Sora's not as funny as erotic mode, but Sora is really Gemini's lane.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Nano Banana that's the winner.
Yeah.
So you might as well just back off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to be better than Nano Banana. I'm sorry. You want to know why? Because you don't have YouTube.
Right.
So that's it. You're not going to be better at that.
Yes.
And then you're not going to be better at Grok because Elon really doesn't care.
Yeah.
And you have to care.
You're not going to sell to a kind of a big enterprise customer at the same time you're pushing erotica. That doesn't work.
No. No. And Elon doesn't care about selling to an enterprise.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. So when I look at this, it's like, okay, seeding spaces so you can protect the core.
Let's figure out where we're going to win.
Yeah. And by the way, the core is like not even protected. Like you're losing the core. Anthropic's winning. If it were not for the whole Department of War thing, this would be a runaway train right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pivot to enterprise, I think, is really questionable. I mean, they really are the consumer brand.
Yes.
Half of America knows only ChatGPT.
That's right.
It's the only AI they know. I think they should lean into that, but I think we don't have the data.
They don't know how to monetize it,
yes,
though.
they're not getting enough money from those people. And the enterprise and Anthropic is where they're getting a lot of growth in revenue.
Yes.
But it's going to be a hard transition because of all these things they've done consumer-centric.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so this story from Reuters is interesting. I mean, we talked about it before the show. I still don't get it. OpenAI sweetens private equity pitch amid enterprise turf war with Anthropic. The first bullet point in the summary here says, OpenAI offers a 17.5% return to attract private equity firms. And it further, when you look into the article, it says that it's a preferred equity stake with a guaranteed minimum return of 17.5%. And so I don't like, I know, I want you to talk a little bit about how they're basically giving tokens to companies that private equity firms own. And maybe the return is embedded in what they would have paid for tokens. Maybe that's how they're doing it. But I'm just trying to sort of understand, how do you guarantee a minimum return? How do you collateralize that? This company does not have assets like that. It's burning cash every day.
Yeah, I don't think they mean the same thing that you're thinking about a guaranteed return. So,
okay, I understand that, but that's how it's phrased, right?
Yeah, it's phrased that way.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not like reading this incorrectly.
Yeah, I believe Anthropic created this concept and went to private equity firms and said to them, we want to bring our technology to large enterprise, and they don't really know how to use it. And so they've gone to the big private equity firms, and they were the first ones. They were talking about 8, 10, a couple of times, I think I heard 12%. And it's a preferred return. So it is guaranteed to come out before Anthropic's value or OpenAI's value. It's not guaranteed that the enterprise itself will be successful, but a lot of these deals are existing businesses that, you're buying a company that is worth whatever, $10 billion. You're going to make a bunch of improvements to it and then sell it for 20. And you're really talking about how do we divvy up those profits. And Anthropic and now OpenAI are both saying private equity can have much of the financial gain. They want to just get people. It's kind of like when Apple used to give hardware away to high schools and colleges. So you start to use this, and then when the private equity sells the business, if they're on OpenAI, they're not going to unpack all that. They'll keep going, and now they're a public company or whatever. I think that's the concept. The guaranteed return is relative to other shareholders. I don't think it's an actual guarantee, but it definitely is phrased that way.
Yeah. I think I understand what you're saying.
So OpenAI is trying to grab market share by offering more favorable terms.
Yeah, that's the headline.
Yeah, and I think though a lot of private equity firms will see it as equal technology, and if you can get better deals, they'll play them off each other, I think.
OpenAI is losing the public brand battle because I think, generally speaking, Anthropic did their brand great favors with the way that they handled the situation with the Department of War. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like kind of objective, right? I mean, maybe there was some small percentage of people who felt otherwise, but for the most part, people were like, they stood on their principles. Their downloads surged. Yeah. You know, the usage ended up taking down the platform, right? Yeah. Because so it's kind of objectively true that that's what happened. On the other hand, OpenAI looked like they did a backdoor deal, announced it right afterwards. Sam had to deal with all this backlash internally and externally. Mm-hmm. They're shutting down Sora. They're trying, they're trying to curry favor with private equity firms, not on the premise of being the stronger brand or the better company, but on better financial terms. Yes. Right. So they're flailing a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And they need to figure out a way to generate massive amounts of revenue in the next 2 years. And that is a hard hill to climb.
Mm-hmm. Agree. This is a cool story. Some new details on Apple and Google's AI deal revealed, including Gemini changes. Apple is just such a powerful company because of the stranglehold that they have on their customer base, that all these companies have to bend the rules for them, right? If you want access to the Apple universe of customers, which is a very good base of customers, then you have to do some things you maybe wouldn't normally do. And in this case, Google is giving Apple some strong access to the Gemini models running inside of the data centers, and the ability to distill from Gemini into some maybe specific use case models that will serve Apple's Apple Intelligence initiative. This is great because I think the Gemini model is great, and I am an iPhone user, and I want Apple's intelligence to actually be worth the darn. And so I'm excited that they're going to leverage the Gemini core model and have the ability to tune it and tweak it, for their own specific use cases. So for me as an Apple user, this is fantastic.
It's a huge win for Apple. I mean, they are going to get one of the best, certainly the top 3 models. Gemini is clearly one of the top 3.
No question.
And it will be... It's going to be a step change function, much better to have Siri running on Gemini, even a distilled model of Gemini.
Yep. And
I'm struggling to see why it made sense for Google. I mean, it's $1 billion a year, but they have a lot of money. But I just think Google likes being everywhere, and they don't get to learn from the Apple data though. They don't get it pulled back.
No, but I think having their model be the model that is distributed through Apple phones is great for them. And I also just think Google is such a multi-dimensional company. It's like you just said, Google is in the top 3 frontier models. And guess what? The other 2 top models, all they do is models.
Yeah. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But Google has Google
Neither
Cloud.
of them throw off free cash flow like Google.
Right. They have their own chips. They have DeepMind. They just spun off Verily this week. I almost had it as a story. I didn't bring in a story, but yeah, Google has a lot of assets. They have Waymo, and they got a lot of stuff going on.
So many assets. Yeah. The number 1 streaming platform in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah.
So it's just that they can. The answer is they can afford to.
Yeah,
it's no big deal. right? It's no big deal. And I'm sure that there is some nice upside. They're not bad deal makers, so I'm sure they got some upside.
I mean, $1 billion
to
a year is pretty big. It's a lot of money.
It's pretty good. And final story here from CNET. That's a blast from the past. Vibe designed a website in minutes using Google Labs' Stitch tool. Stitch puts UI design tools in the hands of anyone who can chat.
Yes. And so we have had Vibe coding for maybe a year.
A year. Let's call it a year.
Yeah. Now we have Vibe design. So you can just take a napkin with a couple sketches on it and give it to Stitch, and it will create a clickable prototype, basically, that then you can then import to one of the Google models or some other model to have it actually built. Figma is the one that is really directly competitive with this, and Google gives it to you for free. So it's hard to compete with free. And like we were saying, Google just has a lot of assets. And so they just put things out. It's in the Google Labs, free. Anyone can use it.
It just doesn't even matter.
And poor Figma, I feel bad for the Figma employees. I mean, they were at the altar with Adobe. It would have been a great deal for Figma and a great deal for Adobe. It didn't go through, and they've been down since. And it's hard for Figma to compete. I mean, they have built their software over, a decade. And it is great, but a little bit complex. I mean, it's hard to use Figma.
It's complex. It's complex.
So, I don't know. I think it's great for everyone except Figma.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, next week when we come back, we will have done the summit.
Yes.
And I think it'll take us a couple of weeks to actually produce the shows from the summit. Right. But we certainly will be able to talk about the things that happened at the summit. And I anticipate both you and I will do some good learning next week.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I guess one thing just really quickly that we can talk about a little bit is the fact that I've been screwing around with OpenClaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
And, my read on it now, I've played with it for 2 days. I got a MacBook Air dedicated because, we talked about it in the past, like it's not secure. There's all these issues with it, right? So I literally wouldn't even install it on my own, on my own existing laptop. So I got like a new clean laptop that all it will do is be on OpenClaw. So it's not connected to Jumpstart at all. So it's connected to my own personal, like just marcuswhitney.com stuff. I created an email address for it. I created its own like little 1Password thing, and so it's got its own
its own thing,
own little segregated like here's your stuff, you can't touch anything else stuff, right?
Yeah.
I've been messing with it for the last 2 days. I guess what I would say is it is certainly it's an intellectual breakthrough, right? If you are used to using chat, and even if you're more advanced and you're using Claude Code, right, or Codex or something like that, that would be kind of, I would consider the next level of advancement. The furthest level of advancement for general Gen Pop right now is kind of the co-work model, where you've given it access to your desktop or your browser, and it's kind of moving around in there and doing, RPA.
Yeah.
This is a step beyond all of those things. It's a harness that runs basically an always-on server. There are several really cool innovations inside of it. It allows you to talk to all the different models. So that's really cool. You get this drop down and you can kind of pick the model. You pick the router. It could be direct API. You could use Open Router. Yeah. And it does feel like I've been using Claude a lot. I've been using Gemini a lot. They feel like tools with an itty-bitty personality. One of the innovations of OpenClaw is the markdown file sol.md, right? So for anyone who doesn't understand this, the new programming language is really something called Markdown. It's
which is great for me because you
English.
Can read it.
Yeah, it's English. Yeah. It's just these files, and so the OpenClaw system really runs on a couple of key Markdown files. One of them is Sol, which basically lays out like the personality of and it's a step beyond what I've experienced in talking to. It really feels like you're talking to a person. Like it's a little more, it's a little less, just the facts man. Yeah. And a little more like I want to have a conversation with you, right?
You sort of give it a quasi-identity in the sole document.
Yeah.
Like a reason for existing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it comes out of the gate with one.
Yeah.
And, so it starts right away, which tunes you as the user, right? You're kind of like, oh, I'm. This is not quite just an answering machine. It's like a. But what I will say is it's very brittle, and it requires a technical person to use it, right? And so it is a breakthrough. You can tell it's a breakthrough because Jensen Huang was talking about it, and they've already released, NanoClaw, I think it's called, which is the NVIDIA version of OpenClaw.
There's Neo. See, I don't know.
NemoClaw?
I think it's Nemo.
Nemo
Nano
Claw?
is also out there, but I don't know. If but whatever.
Nematron, I know, is their model, but I can't remember if that's also the name of their claw.
Yeah,
anyway, there's a lot of claws out there. This thing is brittle. Okay, it stops, it breaks, it doesn't work. We're still not there. Okay, so when Anthropic just released their Claude caffeine mode that kind of does the same thing, I think for most people, just using Claude on caffeine mode is going to be a better experience, even if it's like frustrating. OpenClaw is frustrating in its own way.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just not really ready for prime time. It's an open source thing, mostly for hackers or people who don't sleep and just want to like tinker with something all the time. Having said that, it does give you a glimpse into where all this is going. And we are absolutely going to have mainstream digital workers by the end of the year. There's no so I'm telling you in the audience this just like it was back in November when I was like Claude Code.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And like now everyone's like really like Claude Code. I'm telling you right now, we're going to have fully autonomous digital workers by the end of the year, basically accessible to just about everybody. There's no way from where we are right now in March to December, we don't get there. There's too many people working on it, and it's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough. So everyone needs to just kind of wrap their head around what they would do if they had their own digital worker, because you're going to have one.
Yeah, that to me, that's the thing, is the demand signal exploded. Like there were, I don't know how many stars on GitHub it has, but a lot. It's the fastest open source project ever. And there's been some fast ones before. And the big change in my mind is it's less about, chat was sort of, I can ask for something, and instead of Google give me a link, it gives me the answer. And then Claude Code and even Cowork, it's a collaborator. Like I can do probably 5 times, maybe more, as much work because I'm collaborating with a tool. But I pretty much have to be there.
100%.
Claude Code does not work very much overnight. I know people have set it up that way, but it's not easy to do. Anthropic has intentionally sort of guardrailed it. And this is another step. It's like it's why I liked Manus. Manus is kind of the same. You give Manus a job, you give OpenClaw a job if it's not broken, and it'll go off and do it and come back. And that is a pretty big unlock. Now, it doesn't work great right now, but people are going to have digital workers, digital teams of workers. It really is, by the end of the year, going to be like creativity and how can you optimize your workflows to take advantage of that. And not many people have thought about that yet. So our audience should start thinking about that. Yeah.
And how do you orchestrate multiple digital workers together, right? The latest episode of Bankless with Nat Eliason, where he's talking about his Felix Craft, which is his CEO of his company, but Felix has workers.
Right.
That Felix manages, that do things because Felix has higher level things to do.
Right.
And so
you need an orchestrator. If you're going to have multiple agents, you need to have an orchestrator delegating and managing them. And that's an entire organizational structure that people need to put in place in order to fully take advantage of these things.
Yeah. And I guess just one more thing. Anthropic is doing incredible work. So while I was working with OpenClaw, it really gave me more respect for what Anthropic is doing, right? Because what they are doing is the most important thing they have to do as a company, which is they have to fend off the rationale of why should I use a hosted model when I can host my own and not have to pay for the tokens.
Right.
Right. Like this is the long-term challenge here for Anthropic and OpenAI and all these frontier companies is eventually because of Apple, we're going to be able to run these models on our own hardware. Okay. And they're going to be,
eventually is like 2 years from now.
It's very soon.
Yeah.
It's very soon. I mean, it's basically now because the M5 Max as a chip, along with like sufficient
and
RAM.
Minimax as an open source works well.
Yeah. Works well. Yeah. So, but Anthropic has, I think, basically across all domains, the best model.
Yes.
Right. I think Claude is the best model.
Opus 4.6 is the best model.
Yeah. But before that, Opus 4.6 or the new Sonnet.
Yeah.
Or the new Sonnet. I think Claude's got the best models, okay? And they have the best harnesses.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want? You want Claude in Excel? You want Cowork? You want Claude code in the terminal?
Yeah.
You want Claude code in the app? You want Claude code in the browser? You want Claude in the browser? It's like they've built the best suite of ways to access the best model, right?
Yeah.
And then, you want to connect it to Google? You want to connect it to HubSpot? You want to connect it to CMS data? It's like they've just built the best suite. And so they are fending off for a long time, like the fact that you got to pay for their tokens and the fact that you don't know for sure if your data is secure when you put it in there, right? Like the two big issues with Claude are token cost and is my sensitive data secure when I submit it to
When you say
Claude?
secure, what do you mean by that?
How do I know the model's not consuming it and they're not training on that data and using it?
I think they are.
Okay. Well, I'm stating the
I
two
think
big.
it's not secure. But
This is my point.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm stating the two big issues,
Yeah.
right, with Claude, and I think they're doing an exceptional job of fending those off.
Yes.
By winning on product.
Yeah.
By winning on product, right? The models is great and they have the best product. Period. Full stop. They have the best product. But eventually, the OpenClaws of the world and the NVIDIAs of the world and the Olamas of the world and Apple hardware and the new chips and the new iPhone and the new Mac Mini, like eventually this conglomerate of all these disparate players and open source and hardware and is all going to form something that's going to be very, very formidable against Anthropic. Right. And that's actually going to be the real unlock for all of us. Right. Because here's the punchline. The punchline is once all of that works, we're all going to be able to have our own data centers in our house. Mm-hmm. We're going to have our own AI appliances and our own digital workers in our house, not in the cloud, not on Google Cloud, not on Amazon Cloud, in our house. And the only thing we're really going to need is a good internet connection.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take the other side just for fun. I think that I could get music in a lot of places legally now, but I'm willing to pay Spotify or Apple. And I think most people are willing to pay just as an easy button. Like I pay a little bit a month. It's this insignificant amount and it makes it easy and I don't have to worry about it. That only works because Anthropic is, they ship a product every 8 hours, which is incredible. I mean, there's no company in the history of the world that has shipped a product that every 8 hours there's another product. And that's the only way to keep up with this like open source, free, all these competitors. And I think they have a decent chance at sort of navigating it. But there'll be like you and I will be running our own because I have an Android phone. Like I like to tinker and get it the way I want it. I enjoy the messing with it and figuring it out. And I'm cheap. I don't want to pay the monthly fee.
Yeah,
but most people are not that way.
Yeah, and it will scale. Like if we wanted to build a company of 100 digital workers, it would scale better if we did it on our own than we paid Anthropic. I think that's the point.
Yeah. If I want to have an agent that can give tokens to all of our portfolio companies.
Right.
we have to have our own system.
We got to have our own system. Right. We got to have our own system.
But a lot of the Gen Pop, they want an easy button.
I agree. I completely agree with that. And that's where I think Anthropic is just an incredible company. Incredible company. Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah, good show.
All right, man. We'll see y'all next week after the summit. Report out on it, and have a great weekend.